From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, July the 12th, 2024. The Israeli man who was reported critically injured yesterday in a drone attack from Lebanon was killed in that attack. He was later identified as an IDF reservist. 33-year-old Sergeant First Class in Reserve Valery Chefanov was killed when an explosive-laden drone made direct impact near Kibbutz Kabri in the western Galilee in northern Israel during a barrage of drone and rocket fire from terror group Hezbollah yesterday. The IDF continues to respond to the attacks hitting terrorists and terror infrastructure of Hezbollah in Lebanon. In Gaza, fighting continues between Israeli troops and terror group Hamas. The IDF shared today that it eliminated the deputy commander of the Shajaya battalion of Hamas, who it said served in the past as a senior in the operations headquarters of Hamas and was involved in directing the October 7th massacre, and since has carried out numerous attacks on Israeli troops. The IDF also shared more from its operation at the UNRWA compound, that belonging to the UN Relief Agency in Gaza City, saying our troops found UAVs, war rooms used for surveillance operations, and large quantities of weapons in a compound near UNRWA's headquarters in Gaza City, following intelligence that Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists and infrastructure were embedded inside. The IDF said it opened a defined corridor to enable civilians to evacuate from the area before starting the operation. Also sharing more images from the previously exposed Hamas terror tunnel that passed under UNRWA's headquarters, and that in additional scans, the IDF said, carried out by the troops during the current operations in the area, the troops located an underground laboratory for the manufacturing of explosives and weapons inside a university building. Families of hostages still being held captive by Hamas in Gaza, now for 280 days, continued their march to Jerusalem today, calling for a hostage deal. The group set out on Wednesday from Tel Aviv and will conclude outside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem tomorrow, Saturday night. U.S. President Joe Biden spoke about efforts to reach a deal with Hamas during his press conference last night, held after the NATO summit. Biden saying these are difficult, complex issues. There are still gaps to close, but we're making progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Police in Washington, D.C. are looking into an assault on a Jewish man this week that appears to have been motivated by anti-Semitism. The Allgemeiner reported the incident took place Wednesday morning in the Foggy Bottom neighborhood of D.C., where 31-year-old Ariel Golfez, who was wearing a kippah at the time, was on his way to work when he was attacked from behind and punched and kicked, sustaining several bruises. Police arrived and arrested the assailant, whom the victim then filmed ranting against Jews. The assailant was reportedly charged with assault motivated by hate or bias. Well, New York University settled a lawsuit brought by 3 Jewish students that claimed the school violated several anti-discrimination laws, including Title VI, the Civil Rights Act that prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, alleging the school failed to protect its Jewish students in the wake of the October 7th massacre. In a joint statement, the parties said that under the settlement, which includes an undisclosed monetary sum, NYU has committed to take groundbreaking measures to address anti-Semitism and is creating a new Title VI coordinator position, among the first major universities in the country to do so. NYU President Linda Mills saying we are committed to continuing our vigorous efforts to confront discrimination, including anti-Semitism, and the settlement in this litigation is yet another step in this direction. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, July the 12th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8:30, Rabbi Yoseph Yitzchak Jacobson is on Jewish Insights with Justin Pines. At 10, David Harris sits down with Shahar Azani for the latest update on the situation in Israel and the Middle East. At 10:30, a replay of the Hampton Synagogue services, followed by a replay from Central. And coming up next, a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, July the 12th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom. Am Yisrael Chai.